One of the problems of corporate leadership is that it is extremely situational and is expected to perform within the periphery of the business policies and philosophy. Organizations are formed with very specific business-driven objectives, and they hire leaders who can very effectively lead the business and the people to achieve those objectives. Nobody expects us to be like Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Nelson Mandela. Corporate leaders are expected to work within a box and do that work very effectively in leading the people and the business. The elements of goals and targets often colors this corporate leadership into an atmosphere of command, direction, orders. Impressive terms like charisma, gravitas, leadership, they kind of overshadow the terms like empathy, care, and definitely the word love. In today's episode, we will be speaking about love-based leadership, and as always, we'll base the discussions on real-life experiences gathered from the floor during 26 years of my corporate existence. But before that, if you have not done already, please subscribe to my channel Huddle Room and be updated about all such tips and tricks which might help you achieve your goals in this highly competitive corporate world. Few points which underlines the traditional leadership which have been in place since time immemorial. 1. Leadership based on fear or intimidation. 2. Unitarian environment, culture of boss speaking while others listen. 3. Competition. 4. Leadership style that rewards success. An environment that cherishes corporate philosophy, top-down approach, and a work-reward relationship. And 6. An underpinned message that need not be necessarily spoken very explicitly, but the message is, be grateful that you are appointed in this organization. The new concepts of leadership which are emerging in modern world. 1. Leadership based on trust, respect for self and others instead of intimidation. 2. Culture of active listening instead of my way or highway attitude. 3. Care over competition. 4. Leadership style that celebrates success. 5. An environment that cherishes individuality, support, and a safe and loving environment. And 6. We really appreciate your joining our organization. And in this changed perspective of evolved corporate philosophies emerges the concept of love-based leadership. Now, what do we actually mean when we say love-based leadership? The concept actually speaks about empathy, care, and understanding team members by the leader. Understanding them as distinct individual persons with diverse background, diverse culture, diverse gender, diverse mental orientation, and many things. When we love someone, we actually acknowledge their dignity, preserve their respect, understand them, understand what they are capable of. Whether in office or at home, when you love someone, you actually understand them beyond their face value. You understand them as a person, and that is exactly what we are talking about. Recognizing an individual in their own worth and in their own capacity. When we love someone, we see them with our heart, and when we do not love, we coexist with someone, we tend to be overcritical, we become judgmental based on what we see, not necessarily what we try to understand. You may close your eyes for a few seconds and just try to correlate this with anyone who stays closely with you. Think, when that person does an error, do you immediately react and start criticizing him or her, or do you try to understand the root of the error and what made that individual commit that error? If your reaction is the latter, then you do love that person. And if your action is more like the former, then probably you need to devote some time for improving the relationship. Problem is that the moment we hear the term business, we start thinking about targets and revenue and profits and marketing and brand and competition and so on. What we miss is that business is all about people, and people are not inanimate objects like a piece of furniture. Let me narrate you a story from my own life. Many years ago, I joined a company, and this incident happened on the second day of my corporate induction. Throughout the morning session, I kept on hearing a term which was kind of hitting my ears. The term was FTEs. How many FTEs the company hired, how many FTEs the company trains every year, how many FTEs resigned, how many FTEs are there in the company for more than 5 years, and so on. So during the first break, I approached the person who was presenting and told her, can we not substitute the word FTE with people? Whenever you say FTE, it sounds very inanimate. It sounds like just another furniture or a computer or an inanimate resource. The person looked at me very strangely and told, you better get acquainted with the terms we use here. Well, it's many years back, and after that, obviously, I moved up in the corporate ladder and I started leading much larger teams, but still I have not acquainted myself with the term. I still firmly believe that FTE is a wrong term to use. The moment you start using terms like FTEs and resources, you tend to forget that you are dealing with a human being of flesh and blood. And if you do not understand a human being, how can you lead that person effectively? A computer doesn't look at you for support, a human being does. The word leader does not signify a glorified taskmaster. A leader is one who people trust, who people respect, who can convince people, who can lead them into achieving one common goal. Now, I know what you guys are thinking about. Is it really possible to lead your team by loving the team member without sacrificing the goals and objectives of the company? Believe me, there is no contradiction. Good performance has nothing to do with slave driving. A person can only be a good performer when he or she is at mental peace, is his or her own self, respects the organization, respects his or her colleagues. When the person can really believe that the goals of organization are not different, what my leader is trying to achieve is not different from my personal goals. Driving your team with that so-called gravitas and power and that slave driving attitude with a whip is a thing of past. Maybe it was effective at one point of time during the early days of Industrial Revolution, but not anymore. If you really believe that you want to be a pain in the wrong end of your team, then probably your place will be in the museum very soon. You will be extinct like a dinosaur. Dinosaurs, if you remember, were once the most powerful species on the earth, but they vanished because they could not evolve with the changed environment. Now, the $1,000,000 question, how can you show this love? Do remember, people are not necessarily impressed by lip service. What you tell hardly matters. What you show and what they ultimately feel are all that matters. There is no prescription or a checklist here. Each person's way of showing care and love differs. The way an extrovert person would show love and care for others will be different from the way an introvert person will reflect that. However, the basic element of care and love will remain same. One, by showing that you care. Each person can have a bad day in life. That can be due to myriads of reasons. Could be a financial problem, could be a marital problem, could be a health issue, could be many other things. On those days, do you as a leader feel that? Do you take out that time to understand if a person is not the usual self on that particular day? Are you taking your time to reach out to that person and ask, what is the matter? Is there anything you can do to help? Do you take that person out for a cup of coffee or maybe a simple informal chat just to give that person a kind of sense that I am with you? It is possible you may not really be able to do anything, but the mere fact that their leader is really caring for them, is really trying to understand their problem, help them, goes a long way in cementing their perception towards the organization and towards that particular leader. Number 2, by genuine appreciation. Please don't be miserly here. Acknowledge a person both privately and, if opportunities permit, publicly as well. At home, if your partner cooks a nice dish, will you not appreciate him or her for that particular job? Same rule applies in company as well. There is no better way of showing love and tenderness and care than by genuine appreciation. By offering encouragement, do spot out if your team member is struggling. Do reach out to that person to provide some help. Support that person effectively. Sometimes this encouragement is all that they need to boost up their morale and confidence. Your team member might be embarrassed or too shy to ask, but as a true leader, you find that out and offer that help. By active listening, it is said that God has given us only one mouth to speak, but 2 ears to listen. It is probably God's wish that we speak less and we hear more. Listen to the concerns your team might be facing. It is possible that you may not be able to solve that in any way, but the mere fact that you have listened to your team member and tried to understand that problem and given him or her either a solution or an explanation why that cannot be worked out or why that cannot be solved is a great comfort for people, that someone is listening and listening seriously. Active listening will also help you to get great ideas, innovative ideas, new ways of looking at things, which will improve not only your team's performance but your performance as well. And lastly, through critical analysis. This is important. There is one point we all need to keep in mind, that in any organization, people are there for a cause and they are paid salary for a particular job they are supposed to do. So if anyone is not able to do their job, that person is actually in a great danger. So help that person out. Try to critically analyze their work and point out which are their improvement areas. In office, we normally do not spoon feed. People are expected to work for themselves. But as leaders, it is our duty to show people the right way, to point out where things are going wrong or where things might go wrong. Remember, as a more senior person in the team, you have a perspective which is bigger than your team members because you are looking at from a height. You are having a wider view which your team members do not necessarily have. Of course, striking the right balance between professionalism and being caring is always there. So long you are able to be within your space, then showing genuine concern or compassion for the people you lead will not diminish your position or reputation as a strong leader, but it will instead increase their trust and appreciation, and that will enable your team to bring out their best gradually. Do remember, organization is a faceless, identityless term. It means nothing. People personifies organization through their leader. It is important that as a leader, you are able to meet that expectation. How do you show this love during performance appraisal discussion at the end of the year? It's simple actually. Showing love doesn't mean that you have to cover up for the incompetence of your loved ones. It doesn't work that way. At home, if your child or maybe your younger sibling has not done very well in studies or in whatever they are pursuing, would you, as a loving parent or as a loving elder sister or elder brother, just ignore their incompetence and give them indulgence? Or would you discuss with them where things went wrong, how can they do better next time, show them the path, tell them things did not go well, make them understand their shortcomings so that they can actually work towards improving? That is love, that is care. Ignoring someone's shortcoming is not showing love. That can actually destroy their career. That is the biggest harm you can do to people if they are not told their improvement areas. That will ruin their future in whichever organizations they choose to work. And at the end of everything, you might still want to ask, why should I need to adopt this love-based leadership? The answer is that it's inevitable. World has changed. It is not what it was in the last century, and things are changing pretty rapidly, especially after that global scenario of COVID-based lockdown has happened. People are now more conscious. Opportunities have increased. If you are not able to change yourself as a leader, very soon you will find competent people are leaving and they can exit very silently. And if they do, your team's performance, your organization's performance, and your own performance will also dip. Try to move with the changed times. Try to adopt this love-based leadership. Remember, you can get the dedication of your team member if they respect you. Fear and intimidation doesn't achieve the goals anymore. They can for a very short time, but they won't in the long run. There is no business without people, so when people thrive, the business thrives. Business is 90% relational and 10% transactional. You are not required to be a psychotherapist, but as a leader, you can show empathy for your staff in a balanced and non-intrusive way. Love and care always brings out the best in people, and if you can do that, congratulate yourself. You have been one of the most successful leaders. That's all for today. I hope you will be able to apply some of the things which we learned today and adopt this love-based leadership style for your team. Believe me, it will help you in the long run. Do subscribe to my channel Huddle Room and be updated with all such tips and tricks which might help you to achieve your own objectives in corporate career. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye. We will meet again.